Regardless of where we live, design is linked to every aspect of our lives. It seems fitting then that Istanbul's second design biennial is structured around the goal of imagining new futures, informed by ever-changing readings of the past. With its history of craft, trade, and commerce, Istanbul is a natural location to host this discussion. That the city is rapidly changing, redefining itself in a constant state of transformation, underlines its design theory credentials. This year's Istanbul Design Biennial marks the city's emergence as a serious actor on the international design stage.
This biennial very much looks at where we are, where we've come from, and obviously where we're headed. But it doesn't propose solutions or conclusions, rather it opens up questions, and one of the major questions are framed around manifestos. So how can we rethink the manifesto for contemporary life? Rather than just written statements, could they be objects or buildings or environments or even a working process?
Despite wrestling with esoteric and layered issues, the Istanbul Design Biennial is typified by an almost childlike sense of excitement. Given that the biennial is housed in the Galata Greek primary school, on the edge of one of the city's up-and-coming neighborhoods, this makes perfect sense. One of the many themes running through Turkey's creative dialogue, and this year's biennial, is the issue of public space. Elif Ansari, along with her Istanbul-based architecture firm, offered a solution for the future that highlights a radically simple design application.
This project is questioning the Turkish city's relationship with its shoreline and the citizens' usage of the water, the sea. We designed these modules that would create a public space, an open public space for the citizens. They're made of these 2-meter by 2-meter pieces that can be combined in any size or shape, and they allow for a number of different activities for the public use.
Often design gatherings feel too rigid, experimental, or theoretical. This year's biennial got just the right mix and provided a good chance to take the temperature of Istanbul's design scene. Notable amidst the stimulating projects and manifestos was the simple fact that Istanbul is attracting the best and brightest in the design world, not just from Turkey, but from across the globe. Rihanna Koens is an Istanbul-based Dutch designer who works with local artisans and shares the biennial director's preoccupation with the function and not just the form of design.
It is not only a product, but it's more about how people use the products. Because a coffee cup is a coffee cup, but it's the thing what they do with it. It's how they drink it and how they serve it and how they look afterwards, how the coffee drips, as well as the tea. It's not the teapot here in Turkey is a special teapot. That is a design in itself, but it's more inspiring me how people are using that.
Istanbul's rapidly changing urban landscape is another ever-present theme in creative discussions in Turkey. One victim of urban change is the myriad of hidden master craftsmen who have stoically passed their acquired knowledge through the generations onto a dwindling number of apprentices. Rising rents and unhelpful city legislation has prompted one design initiative to think of creative ways to preserve the city's craft heritage.
Crafted in Istanbul is a kind of network system, the craftsman's network system. It's made to make the craftsmen increase their visibility and to bring the designers and the craftsmen together. We want to change the definition of the craftsman as the master of material. Today's system, there is not that much need to the traditional objects, so there is not that much demand to them. But in reality, they are the masters of the materials, and they bring you a good chance to produce your product in a reasonable price, and it also helps the designer to learn a lot by collaborating with them.
The second Istanbul Design Biennial gave itself the enormous task of starting a dialogue that will help write or create new design manifestos. As the exhibition proudly noted throughout the design space, the future is not what it used to be.
The projects are experimental, they're visionary, they're about questioning, they're about proposing and identifying ways forward and new directions, as much as they are about realising outcomes. Ever since I started this project, I've found the community, the architecture and design community, very open-minded, very generous, and I've been really interested in this idea that many Turkish people don't see Turkey as a nation. They see it as a group of people coming from all different backgrounds and many kind of cultures kind of coming together. And I find that very interesting in terms of projects that are in the biennial that very much look to other cultures for thinking about design, but also thinking about our everyday lives.
In Istanbul, for Monocle, I'm Joseph Dana.